welcome back to another edition of the Dirty Verdict.
Oh, so much dirty verdict on deck.
That was Kyle.
What you got for us, Peter?
Someone drank a Red Bull before we got started. So I'm one of your hosts, Peter Taaffe.
It was a Hobuzz.
It was Hobut. No, that would go the other.
It was a Four Locos.
Yeah. Thීese are hard to get.
An OG.
I've got a warehouse full of them.
An original.
So this, first of all, I'm going to start with, if you enjoy Kyle being on Four Loco, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Instagram, iTunes, Spotify. Where else? Anywhere else?
Apple.
You can Google us anywhere and find us, especially...
Oh, plug the site. We got a site now, Pete, don't we? Is it live?
What is it? No. Our guys shake. Yes. We're hearing. Yes.
Under construction.
Hold on. Yes. No.
Sorry about that, folks.
Under construction.
Pete, so that's on Pete.
But to be fair, we've kind of made this deal with ourselves, I think is locked tight. If we don't get, what did we decide, like 15,000 followers within 6 months for the YouTube channel, we're gonna do it on OnlyFans.
Well, I thought we were going to do each of us would take turns cutting off one of our pinkies with some lawn shears.
I was kind of going with the OnlyFans.
I might have misunderstood it.
Cutting off your pinky seems a little bit more aggressive, but what's that movie, Black Rain, with cut up the dude's pinky?
I don't watch that kind of stuff.
No,
that's smut.
Okay, well, let's, if we may, move to news.
Please
and
do.
I'm treading...
Yeah, come on, Pete. Get us on track.
Okay, first story is one of Kyle's favorite stories, of course, Baylor. Testimony has begun in a federal Title IX lawsuit filed by a former Baylor University student who claims she was physically assaulted 3 times by a Baylor football player and that those claims were mishandled by Baylor. And she is not only suing the school, but also former head coach Art Briles and former athletic director Ian McCaw, now athletic director at Liberty University.
That's fitting.
So Title IX, yeah. So
well, Liberty has their own baggage.
Yeah, they're just like to watch. I don't know.
There lots of inside jokes going on there with Kyle on
Baylor College. Kyle hates Baylor College.
I love Baylor. I like to watch.
So that started, I think we talked about, maybe, I don't know if we did it online or privately, but Baylor settled a good portion of claims earlier, but this one is going forward. This was interesting because the plaintiff, Dolores Lozano, and I'm reading from a news story, so apparently she's been okay with her name being out there
and used publicly.
But that would be Justice of the Peace, Dolores Lozano. She's a Justice of the Peace in Harris County now.
Wait, yeah. Who is Dolores Lozano?
The plaintiff.
Really?
And she is now a JP in Harris County.
Is she a lawyer? I know you don't have to be.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
You know that at JP you don't have to be a lawyer, but you can sign a search warrant unless they close that loophole.
I've actually had cases in front of a JP that was not a lawyer. It was quite creative and interesting.
So that case is pending in front of United States District Judge Robert Pittman of Austin. Yeah, he's out of Austin. I don't know if they moved it to Austin for, obviously there could be some questions about impartial jury in Waco, but
because that's where Baylor College is.
Correct. So that will be going. We'll see what happens there.
Monday, I think?
It started Monday. I believe that was October 13th was Monday. So we'll see by the time this is out, and we'll get a follow-up on that.
So this young lady, she alleges that she was assaulted 3 times by a football player, and she reported it to, I don't know if she says she reported to Briles. Maybe she does. She definitely says she reported it to Jeff Levy, who is Briles' son-in-law and is now a coach at OU.
Offensive coordinator, who somewhat infamously brought Art Briles onto the field following an OU game this year.
Speaking of OU, I feel like, we kind of mess with all the guests when their schools don't do well. You guys have anything to say about OU? I haven't heard you guys talk about OU.
They won.
Don't know what you're talking about.
They won.
Don't know what you're talking about.
And better luck next year for the Horns.
Hey.
So she alleges she reported several assaults, and that in response to those assaults, they offered her spiritual counseling.
That's what they do in the church, too.
To how she could better understand her role with regard to the Lord, to help out these assaults that were happening.
So
And by the way, I'm not making that up.
no, that's real. I've dealt with this in cases.
So this was actually part of the opening statements. Was she reported these assaults to the athletic department. In response, the chaplain for the football team gave her some flyers about how to better develop her relationship with the Lord.
So I dealt with some very, what's the word? Some hard cases with the Catholic Church.
Sure.
And I got them all of them were outside of the statute of limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to the Catholic Church and they said, if we can do some, forget what the word that they called it.
Counseling.
Yeah, but it's like not papal counseling, but something along those lines. And then, they said that they would do something to try to make it right. So that's not unusual for a religious affiliated place in that kind of situation. It's weird that that was the only thing that they offered rather than, taking steps to prevent it. But hey, Baylor College, not my business.
We're going to move quick because Kyle could talk for like 3 hours on that topic. If
It's my second favorite thing after shiplap.
there is, we're going to go quick. Speaking of colleges, a Texas-based student and his parents have filed a lawsuit against University of Alabama fraternity, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, associated with hazing. He allegedly was repeatedly punched, sprayed with a water hose, told to yell a racial slur at a nearby black student, hit in the head with a basketball, which caused him to lose consciousness, see stars, and suffer a traumatic brain injury. So being in Austin, there's always a lot of, there are hazing cases. Have either of y'all ever handled a hazing case on one side or the other?
I've not handled a hazing case as a lawyer.
As a lawyer?
As a litigant?
No, I was an alumni advisor for a little while, and there was an issue at my old school with my fraternity, and
I know that there were, when I was at UT, several of the fraternities killed a couple people, which was frowned upon.
During a hazing thing? I remember 5 years ago, hazing, there was a lot of them in the media. I haven't heard one
in the late 90s at UT. There was one young man drowned at it was a Cowboys event, which is kind of a bunch of different fraternities all send a representative. And then I thought there was also an issue where a young man was kicked downstairs or knocked over in a basement where he cracked his head on some concrete. I don't know if he died or just had a massive brain injury.
Well, there was a person that fell off the Beta House top
balcony. Yeah, I remember that.
That famous story, and this is public, was the Sigma News at Texas were sued because a hazing incident where it was back in the olden days, Bill, before your time. Gerbo jeans were a thing.
Gerbo.
Tag on your junk, like a little white tag where
on the zipper
would be.
And so this person was alleged to, someone had burnt, of course the lawyers dramatize it, but some older member lit the little white tag on fire to remove it because, they thought Gerbo jeans weren't cool. Well, one of the people implicated in this has gone on to become a famous actor by the name of John Hamm.
Oh, I do. I have heard this story.
And
yeah.
He left UT. He transferred to Mizzou after.
He did, yeah. So those are all allegations, no telling what happened. I'm sure, obviously, things have gone okay for Mr. Hamm. But yeah, you're right. There was a time when things were a little out of hand, particularly at Texas. I'm sure.
I haven't heard of a hazing case since COVID, at least.
Yeah. So again, I will say, to give you guys on plaintiff lawyers credit, a lot of times the plaintiff's lawyers regulate that, and lawsuits will stem that kind of thing. Whereas, the police may say, I've got murders and drug rings and
guys.
Yeah, then maybe that's not on their
not their jam.
Yeah, hand me that lighter. Give me your Gerbos.
So we'll see how that turns out. Next case, McAllen, Texas. There's an allegation from a family of a lady that died. She called the cops, McAllen Police Department, 9 times, and about her ex-husband threatening her. He ultimately killed her, and her family alleges that the McAllen Police Department did not come and help. I'd assume that's some type of civil rights violation.
It would have to be. And she called like 9 times in one day or night, or 9 times over the course of like a couple weeks. What was the?
That's unclear from the story.
Okay, that changes my look on the case.
So it's my understanding there's no cause for negligence against a state entity for doing that unless there's otherwise some sort of discrimination claim, right?
Or you have some underlying facts that you can discover that show that somebody made a conscious decision to not respond.
I mean, like, there's CPS cases that come up all the time. Like, you could have saved this kid's life.
But you would have to find evidence outside of a discrimination for a protected class, so age, gender, that kind of thing. You'd have to have some evidence of someone's, officer saying like, we're not coming back, stop calling, and then it happens again and somebody dies.
Ooh.
Other than that, I don't think that's a tough set of facts. Sad.
So it's, I guess,
McAllen?
Yeah.
it's the city of McAllen. So
Who's the plaintiff's attorney?
it did not say in the law. It's interesting. News stories don't always report the lawyers anymore. I don't know why.
I insist.
But that
They're ill with 2 L's.
Yeah,
they're alleging that the police department had a policy or custom of treating domestic violence cases involving women and or Hispanic women less seriously than other types of assault cases.
so you've got 2 protected classes there. You've got race and you've got gender. So that's their angle, Kyle.
Okay, so there you go on that one.
Can we
Next,
get an update on the Roald Dahl daughter?
Is she still there?
every time I look, there has been no answer.
Okay,
And so
asked about. We got to call those lawyers.
they're trying to do the collection
I mean,
or whatever.
The
eviction.
eviction. Yeah.
I'm not saying that I get a ton of calls about prior content on our podcast, but that one gets some traction. People ask me about that.
I look because you ask a lot, and the last few times, I think a return of service, meaning they've served her, is on file. But
They just slide under the door.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
they're like, Miss Dahl, could you please open the door? No.
all right, next story. A Houston attorney is suing Post Oak Hotel after he says he faced discrimination over what he was wearing. And this is the lawyer in question is Willie Powell's.
Oh, Willie wins.
Willie Powell's.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I just literally yesterday, I think, for the first time, I saw a billboard with him on it.
How's that possible? There are like 7 of them on 59.
I don't take 59. I stay out of that neck of the woods.
Yeah. All right.
Well, he was at the H Bar, which is the lobby of the Post Oak, and he, according to the lawsuit, was the only African American in the bar. He sat down to meet with another lawyer. He was wearing, I think, a hat, and he was approached and by management and said, "We don't allow hats. You need to leave." Apparently, other people who were,
Can't you just take off? Like a hat is like, it's not like pants.
yeah,
You can just take a hat off.
he alleges 3 or so tables behind him. In the corner was a large table with about 7 Caucasian people. Almost all of them had some kind of hat on, including cowboy hats. Because
I thought you were going to say a yarmulke. I was like, this is not going well.
no, for everyone in outside of Houston knows, you go out, you go to a bar, you wear cowboy hats, right? You park your horse outside, you walk in with your cowboy hat. So I don't know. That's
How many Stetsons do you own, Bill?
1.
so.
That's an adequate number.
Yeah.
So, so he was, I guess, escorted out or asked to leave or what have you. That's Randall Callanan.
Randy Callanan's doing
Yeah.
that one. He does a lot of civil rights work. I've worked a handful of he's referred to me about 1,000 cases.
We should. I bet Willie would come on our show.
I don't know him, but I'd love to hear from him. It's an interesting set of facts. What, especially like for them to say we don't allow hats, leave, versus we don't allow hats, you should take that off. It's just a weird way of it coming about.
You know what we could do this broadcast from?
H bar?
The Oak Room.
I don't think they allow cameras.
Well, maybe we want to advertise that we're bringing cameras. Josh, what's
Body cams.
What's our situation on like a surreptitious camera? We good for that?
You have the little buttons.
Like a lapel?
Yep.
Lapel camera?
I'm wearing one right now.
We know, Pete. We know.
I wear it all the time. Okay, remember the guy named Brett Dedamore who lived in West U and
Yes.
Disappeared, kind of disappeared.
torched his car allegedly.
Okay, I was gonna say he did.
allegedly, and it said like "Hide It." He had a license plate called "Hide It" on his. I think it was a Raptor. And well, anyhow, so he was found. Well, lawsuits are mounting now.
Oh.
3 have been filed in the last couple weeks.
Who's filing?
Homeowner, because he was a home builder. So the supply company,
Oh, all the projects that he was in the middle of.
and the homeowners, et cetera. So those are mounting, and of course, some lawyers are laying it out really quick. Anyhow, those are mounting. Last one, Love is Blind producers, which is a reality show, were sued over sexual assault of a contestant,
I saw that.
likely captured on film.
It's Houston.
It's filed in Houston. The law firm is called Wallace and Allen. Have filed it.
It's a Netflix show, and like this season or whatever is
Called what?
Love is Blind. It's like, I think it's like people that are like in these like rooms where they can't see each other, but they have to hang out for a certain amount of time to get to know each other, and then like at the end everybody proposes to everybody else. But this season of that show, I believe, is based in Houston.
If you can't find true love with a bunch of people that can't see you on a television show, does love really exist anymore?
Do you just literally verbatim? That's what's tattooed on my back.
Yeah. Love is blind.
Yep.
That's it? Or
Yeah.
the whole thing that he just said?
No, the whole thing. It's a small.
That's
Yeah.
I pay attention to the Walt Whitman quote. Maybe I was paraphrasing.
Yep. It was.
All right, last story. I'm going to give a little shout out to friend of the show and hopefully future guest, the Southern District of Texas U.S. Attorney.
Al-Amdar Hamdani?
Yes.
Big Al.
Friend of the show.
Big fan.
He's awesome.
He's really nice.
He's
like
wonderful.
he's just, and he's so passionate about the fact that he moved his family to Kentucky for 2 years so he could be a better U.S. attorney. I'm like, he's dedicated.
Also, let me encourage you this. If you ever have the chance to take Al out to lunch,
Yeah.
he can't, because of his job, can't accept gifts.
That's fun.
So he has to pay?
You go out to lunch, and either he's paying or you're only buying your own, and it's refreshing.
So his office settled a $85 million claim. They obtained this $85 million settlement on a whistleblower case against an Illinois-based medical imaging company and its chief executive.
85 million?
$85 million. That's a whistleblower. So
Was that a key tam?
it's a key tam. So the whistleblower, as y'all know, will be paid.
Yeah,
20%, right?
They haven't, I think there's some discretion there. It hadn't been determined, at least as of the time of the story, but it will be a significant number. So for y'all, usually these are medical
yeah.
situations.
Well,
Medicare fraud.
The biggest, there's a huge one, and I'm pretty sure it was based in Texas, but I watched a guy do a presentation, and he did the guardrails. And the reason the guardrails have that like spring absorber now, but before they just were curved. Apparently that curve, they had testing that was a launch pad. And he
definitely died.
he wasn't the whistleblower, but it was a lawyer that did the case on a key tam, and it was like $890 million or something like that. And his fees were
So the process is the whistleblower's lawyer files a lawsuit under seal, I think ex-rel the United States.
Yep.
And then the government
has the opportunity to join.
They look at that.
to take over.
And they investigate it. And if they take it, well, then basically the defendant is in a world of hurt.
Big trouble.
If they reject it, it's generally considered probably an uphill battle for the whistleblower, but they can still pursue it.
Yep.
So in this case, obviously the federal government took it and extracted some justice. So
What was so they had to have been doing Medicare fraud.
it was some type of healthcare related alleged fraud.
Wow. That's a big one.
Yeah, so that's it. We'll wrap this little news one up. We've got obviously a ton more, and we'll get to them later. But for this week, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow Instagram, all that kind of stuff.
It just comes out. It's just so natural for you.
Get on the get on the
Get on the web.
internet and
On the line.
Googles.
Get on the line. On the line.
You kids use your Googles.
hit this, mash the subscribe.
Smash the subscribes.
There you go.
I add down.
And be on the lookout for future dirty verdict.
All right, we'll see you next week.